Hello everyone, today is 18th of July, now it's 10 to 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit later in the afternoon, and I hope you will find interesting both of these videos. And well, that's been said, let's talk about news now. And first of all, I will start with this report from TASS news agency about work of Russian air defense systems during their previous night. According to TASS news agency's information, which is based on Russian Defense Ministry, Russian air defense systems intercepted 35 drones during the night time. 33 drones were intercepted over the Crimea, so it was a relatively large-scale attack on Crimea by Kiev regime, although 33 drones were intercepted. And 2 drones also were intercepted over the Bryansk region. At this point, there are no reports about casualties on the ground or any more or less significant damage, but if any updates during the day, of course, I will share it on my Telegram channel or on my page on Twitter X. And in the second update, also TASS news agency's report about statement of governor of Sevastopol city in Crimea. So according to Governor Mikhail Razvozhaev, during the nighttime, early hours of this morning, Russian militaries destroy Kiev regime's maritime drone not far away from Sevastopol city, and I shared video of that on my Telegram and Twitter accounts. This is the video, by the way. Kiev regime's maritime drone was spotted and then destroyed. And also on topic of maritime drones, we have report of from Krasnodar region. According to this report from also TASS news agency, in Novorossiysk this morning there was a alert declared because of the threats from possible threats from Kiev regime's maritime drones. Novorossiysk, of course, is a Russian Black Sea coastal city. This is the Novorossiysk, by the way, here. And for this moment, no reports about interception of any maritime drones in this area, but yet again, if any updates on that during the day, I will share additional information in a second update or on Telegram and Twitter X. We also have a statement from Mayor of Kiev Vitaly Klitschko. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to Klitschko, during the night time there was explosions in Kiev in the left bank of the city. No precise information what exactly was targeted by Russian forces, although probably this was a strike from Russian militaries, because Klitschko said that air defense system was working. So possibly during the day we will find out some additional information on that. Also, RIA Novosti's report that Russian armed forces during the nighttime conducted strike on a Kiev-controlled airfield in Mirgorod, which is Poltava region. This was reported by Sergei Lebedev, coordinator of the Russian underground in the Nikolaev region. Yet again, only information we have is about strikes, explosions, but no precise data about what exactly was targeted and what was results of these attacks. Vzгляд newspaper is reporting that according to Russian military expert Andrei Marochko, in recent days Russian armed forces destroy about 10 river crossings on Oskol River in Kupiansk direction. And in previous days I shared quite a number of videos of strikes from Russian troops on the river crossings, including on Kupiansk direction on Oskol River. And well, maybe we have good enough indicator with these strikes that Russian side is preparing some sectoral scale offensive operation in Kupiansk direction. Maybe that's the case. Although, by the way, recently on internet there are some predictions also from military experts, military channels, some other sources, that it's not just Russian side that are preparing some sectoral scale offensive operation in Kupiansk direction, but Kiev regime is also preparing, according to those predictions, sectoral scale offensive operations. Although on the northern side of Kharkov region, Kupiansk is the eastern flank, of course, and Kiev regime is planning, according to those military experts, sectoral scale offensive in northern parts of the Kharkov region, including in Lipsy and Volchansk directions, which is areas where Russian forces are creating buffer zone in last 2 months approximately. And if I have no doubts in capabilities of Russian forces, because they proved many times in 2023 and 2024 that they are very much capable of conducting sectoral scale successful offensive operations. We see it in Bakhmut, we see it in Avdiivka, we see it in New York Toretsk direction, and we are seeing it right now. And we might see it in Kupiansk direction also, in South Donetsk sector of the front line towards Ugledar city, or in Zaporozhye direction. After all, just a few days ago, I reported that Kiev regime is evacuating government institutions and officials from Orekhov and Gulyai-Polye areas, which is Zaporozhye sector of the front line. So maybe they are expecting Russian sectoral scale offensive there also. So we can have no doubts that Russian troops very much are capable of conducting this sectoral scale and even larger scale offensive operations, obviously. But when it comes to Kiev regime's ability to conduct sectoral scale offensive, I have some doubts about it. Yes, rumors are that Kiev regime concentrated some 90,000 military personnel in Kharkov region, especially to conduct this offensive. But yet again, Kiev regime had even more military personnel in 2023 when they conducted this so-called spring-summer offensive. And if you remember, I was saying way before Kiev regime started this offensive in Zaporozhye and South Donetsk directions, that Russian side is ready and Russian troops will decimate whatever brigades Kiev regime will throw into the battle. And that's exactly what happened. According to reports that we are seeing, Kiev regime during that so-called counteroffensive in 2023 in Zaporozhye, South Donetsk sectors lost from 90 to 150,000 military personnel and thousands of pieces of military equipment. And I remind you, dear friend, that counteroffensive, so-called counteroffensive, was prepared by NATO. And in Germany, there was several games, military games were conducted with the active participation of NATO generals to prepare this counteroffensive, but results were abysmal, absolutely abysmal. It was total disaster from military standpoint for a Kiev regime. And well, I have no doubts personally that if Kiev regime starts or authorizes sectoral scale offensive operations in the Kharkov region, also results gonna be even more devastating for Kiev regime's forces than in 2023. Russian troops are ready and they will decimate whatever brigades Kiev regime will throw into the battle. This is my take, by the way, on this situation. And in addition, I will just add that we have now reports from Belgorod region, and according to governor of the region, 14 settlements on the borderline with the Kharkov region will be closed for outsiders. Checkpoints will be created to make sure that no outsiders are entering these settlements, and this is due to some safety concerns. So one may see this information as a sort of indicator that maybe Kiev regime really plans to conduct some sectoral scale offensive in this direction. Maybe. Let's see. Time will tell. But whatever the case, Russian troops are ready to destroy whatever brigades Kiev regime gonna throw into the battle. Just mark my word, by the way. And if Kiev regime or Western masters of the Kiev regime will push forward with this sectoral scale counteroffensive, I believe that will be beginning of the end, for sure, beginning of the end of the Kiev regime's forces as a more or less capable entity. They already are struggling, isn't it, on many directions, but if Kiev regime starts this counteroffensive, then, well, that's definitely gonna be beginning of the end for so-called Ukrainian armed forces. And they will start collapsing all along the front line after that. Anyways, let's continue. In any ways, time will tell if my reading of the big picture is correct. RIA Novosti is reporting that yesterday prisoner exchange, POW, military prisoner exchange, took place between Russian and Kiev regime side. 95 Russian POWs were released and 95 POWs of the Kiev regime forces were also released as a result of this exchange. And dear friends, probably you noticed that whenever I talk about Zelensky and his criminal associates, I try to avoid using word Ukraine because they are not representing Ukraine. Zelensky is not representing no one from Ukraine, only Western ruling class, because after all he is illegitimate president at this point, isn't it? So he is basically Western appointed head of Kiev regime. That's all, really. And that regime cannot be taken as a leadership of the Ukraine. There is no way. At least I refuse to take them as leaders of the Ukraine. And yes, there was a prisoner exchange yesterday. Also, RT is reporting about very disturbing development in regards to Ukraine and forces that are in charge in Ukraine. And I will read this article, if I may. So, even though our community is well informed what kind of groups are in charge in Ukraine, maybe today, maybe sometime in the future, someone may watch this video that are under stronger influence of the Western propaganda, and this information will be helpful for that individual so that he will have a reasoning to conduct independent inquiry on its own and find out what really is going on in Kiev controlled territories. So let's go through this article. Social media users have called out a member of Ukraine's 3rd Assault Brigade, which includes fighters from the so-called reformed neo-Nazi Azov regiment, over several posts that appear on to mock those who were killed at the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp. And of course, Auschwitz concentration camp was created by Nazi Germany, and hundreds of thousands of Jews, Soviet people, Poles, and many others were killed in these death camps, basically. In a series of posts on Instagram, Nikita Moroshchenko, a member of the brigade, this 3rd Assault Brigade, which is Azov Brigade, by the way, shared the photos and reels of him paying a visit to the death camp, this Auschwitz-Birkenau, in Poland several weeks ago. One of the reels showed the gates of the Auschwitz with the infamous Nazi slogan "Arbeit macht frei." I don't know German, so probably I'm reading it wrong, but this is a Nazi slogan with there was a German march music playing on that over that slogan in the background. The post was accompanied by a caption reading, "We commemorated the memory, but there is a nuance." A second reel showed Miroshchenko's girlfriend, Anastasia Korshikova, a member of the same brigade, standing in front of their death camp. And this is this caption, by the way. This image was juxtaposed with a meme known as a Disaster Girl, featuring a girl standing at the camera, staring at the camera as house burns behind her. The clip was accompanied by the song Baby on Fire by South African hip-hop group Die Antwoord, and that's a caption, a disturbing caption, isn't it? This Ukrainian Nazi element from Azov Brigade basically demonstrates how untouched she is about atrocities that was committed in that camp during the Second World War. Morozhenko was also pictured at Auschwitz wearing T-shirt that read "Where we are, there is no place for anyone else," a phrase attributed to the Nazi leader, that mustache man, during the Second World War. The flurry of posts which appeared to mock their memory of the more than 1 million Jews, Poles, Roma, and Soviet prisoners of war who were killed at the camp sparked a firestorm on social media. Moss Robertson, a self-described researcher of the Ukrainian fascism, noted that it's unreal how Meta is this corporation, isn't it, has let Ukrainian Nazis fester while it censors Palestinians and anti-Zionist voices in the name of anti-Semitism. Jake Hanrahan described one of the Morozhenko's posts as disgusting, while Daniel Mayakovsky remarked that if you oppose Israel's genocide in Gaza, you are an anti-Semite, according to the Western media. But if you go to Auschwitz with a T-shirt quoting Mustache Man to gloat about killing the Jews, then Europe and the US send you weapons. And Daniel Mayakovsky definitely has a point, isn't it? Because just recently, US leadership made decision to cooperate more actively with this Third Assault Brigade, with Azov movement, Azov neo-Nazi movement in Ukraine, and these neo-Nazis from Third Assault Brigade, and there is another brigade, 13th Assault Brigade or something, isn't it? Also Azov. They will receive more money and more weapons from the US, because the US not see these members of this criminal organization, this terrorist organization, as a Nazis or terrorists, which is a shame on Biden's administration, obviously, because after all, US citizens, hundreds of thousands of US citizens of generation of my grandfather fought, and many died and many lost health by fighting while fighting Nazi Germany in the Second World War. And after a few generations, current administration in US is allying this country with this type of people, with Ukrainian Nazis and the fascists, and doing this openly without shame. This is crazy, man. This is so that's the reality, by the way. That's with whom US currently is allying itself. And of course, US Secret Services, by the way, were actively cooperating with all sorts of disgraceful people for decades and decades. We all know this, right? US Secret Services are creators of the many terrorist organizations and are behind many crimes that was committed worldwide. But at least Washington, political class in Washington, was trying to play decency and distance themselves from these disgraceful individuals that CIA was backing, for example, in different regions of the world. But right now, political class in US is degenerated so much so that they have no shame at all. They have no shame to ally US with the Nazis and the terrorists. openly, by the way, openly, because just check, by the way, many members of our community, of course, remember it was just like 2-3 weeks ago, isn't it, when information, when statements were made in US by officials, including in State Department, that they are going to support militarily Azov, right? So it's official. Total disgrace, by the way. Total disgrace, man. RT is reporting that Germany is about to have Ukraine military aid, according to Reuters. Germany's proposed 2025 budget aims to cut military aid for Ukraine by 50%. Reuters reported on Wednesday. After reviewing the draft, the government plans to adopt the document later in the day. After months of wrangling, their news agency said in 2024 Germany allocated 8 billion euros, which is 8.75 billion US dollars, to arm and train Ukrainian troops against Russia. But the next year, or in 2025, Berlin intends to cut this in half, these sums in half, according to information that Reuters has. And well, some people may see this as a step forward on part of Berlin, because maybe, and some may have some hopes that maybe Berlin is realizing something. Maybe Scholz's government finally understands that they are on the wrong side of history and they should cut their ties with their Ukrainian Nazis and the terrorists. But in reality, things are somewhat different, I will say, because in my personal opinion, Berlin is cutting funds for Kiev regime because they just have no that many weapons left to transfer to Kiev regime, and then purchase new ones for the Bundeswehr, because 8 billion euros that was in budget of Germany for the Kiev regime this year in 2024, from this 8 billion, obviously at least 7 billion went straight to military industrial complex, right? Germany was transferring old weapons, although relatively old weapons, to Kiev regime, and they're purchasing or allocating sums from this 8 billion to purchase new equipment for Bundeswehr. But because stockpiles of the Bundeswehr are depleted in many ways, of course, in 2025, Germany would not be able to transfer to Kiev regime as many weapons as they did in 2022 or 2023 or 2024, right? And that's the reasoning behind this decrease in German budget funds that are allocated for Kiev regime. That's my understanding of the situation, because there is no way, by the way, Scholz or anybody in his government has any decency and any ability to realize what is going on. And I don't think they even have a right to act independently without authorization from Washington, because one should keep in mind that they are representing Scholz and his government. They are representing not Germany and not German people. In reality, they are representing Washington, occupying force, right? Because Germany is occupied since the Second World War. It's just factual. This is historically true, by the way, historically accurate. But still, interesting that we have good enough indicator, if this information from Reuters is correct, that Bundeswehr stockpiles are somewhat depleted. Vzglyad newspaper is also reporting that there was about article in Al Jazeera about cooperation of the Greece government with Kiev regime and their weapon supplies and so on. And yesterday, Alex Christoforou, host of Duran Show, devoted segment in his on his personal channel in an update to this article in Al Jazeera. And of course, I recommend to to watch that video. Although I will just articulate now this fragment from that article, that Greece may transfer, or maybe already did it. So Greece might transfer the 32 old F-16s to US, so that these planes, once they will undergo some slight modernization, will be transferred to Kiev regime. I don't know, yet again, I don't know if Al Jazeera's information is correct or not. It will be good if Greek officials, prime minister, or maybe defense minister or foreign minister will clarify the situation. But at least for now, I didn't see in Russian media any information about Athens reaction on this article. Well, of course, it will be very sad if this information is true, because of course it will make relationships between Russia and Greece even more difficult. And at this point, relationships between the countries, by the way, are probably on lowest point ever. Although I'm talking about, of course, relationships between the countries. Relationships between the people always was on a good level and will maintain and will stay on a good level, obviously, for many reasons, by the way, historical, cultural, and so on. But it is sad to see deterioration of the relationships between Athens and Moscow, between the countries, obviously. Let's see, maybe Athens will react on this article. Maybe they will clarify situation. TASS news agency is reporting that, well, head of European Council, Charles Michel, rejected the peace plan of the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, and he not just rejected, but he said that main goal for EU is to increase military and financial support for the Kiev regime. I mean, you tell me what the hell is going on in EU, by the way. Orban is trying to promote peace, de-escalation, and for this he been assaulted by and insulted by high-ranking officials in EU, among even EU member states. Not just Orban is under this political assault, but also Foreign Minister of Hungary, Peter Szijjártó. And for what? Just because they are promoting peace? Well, something is very, very wrong in that union, by the way, in European Union. Very wrong. And despite this pressure from the Brussels and the member states of the EU that are led by extreme Russophobes, Peter Szijjártó, Foreign Minister of Hungary, stated that Budapest will continue its work to promote peace and to help any way possible process of de-escalation. So diplomatic work in this regards will continue, and Budapest don't be intimidated by this Russophobic and pro-war or warmongering forces in the collective West. Also, by the way, Szijjártó stated that Hungary is ready to facilitate peace talks or negotiations between Moscow and Kiev, which is also a big deal. By the way, and maybe during his visit into Kiev and Moscow, Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, had some talks about this proposal, maybe. But in any ways, one can only applaud leadership of Hungary for their hard work, really, to promote peace, not war. And they are not alone, by the way. In Europe, RIA Novosti is reporting that Prime Minister of Slovakia, Roberto Fico, condemned political assault on Hungary from the EU, and all these demands in European Parliament that Hungary should be stripped of its votes, its voting right. And this is all because and this assault, political assault on Hungary, is all because of this diplomatic trip of Orban and C. Arthur into Kiev first, then into Moscow, and then Beijing. Yet again, by the way, one side, Budapest, is promoting peace, other side, Brussels, and forces that are pulling the strings in Brussels or in collective West in general, they are promoting war. It's that simple. It's that clear. Nothing is simple, but it is quite clear that this is the case. And dear friends, if I may, I will end this update on this information. As I said, later on I will have a second update with additional news. This way I will maintain updates relatively short. Although before I go there, friends, let me say that, well, if you find this update interesting, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything, any topic. That will help to deal with the immensely aggressive YouTube algorithm. And also, by the way, if you like my work, if you like my channels, please consider to support with the donations through PayPal or Boosty, by the way. But if you are not okay with for whatever reason, if you are not okay with the PayPal or Boosty, you can support through with cryptocurrency also. Since recently I have crypto wallet, and under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment you can see my addresses of Bitcoin, LTS, LTC, and Ethereum. Dear friends, before I go, please subscribe to my Twitter X page. By the way, I'm trying once again to become more active on Twitter because I understand Twitter has a big potential, and activity on this platform can be helpful for this project. So therefore, if you have an account on Twitter X, please consider to subscribe. All the links, by the way, are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. Links to my Twitter, also Telegram, by the way. Consider to subscribe to my Telegram. And if you want to support, you can see there are links to PayPal, Boosty, crypto wallet, and dear friends, I mean, you can subscribe to my Patreon. That will be also great support, of course, because Patreon allows me to know with what funds I can rely on what funds I can rely on monthly basis, and it is very helpful. So this is it for now. Have a great day, and see you in next update. Bye for now.